Okay, we have drafted some new material here.
Got us a new beekeeper.
Got us a new beekeeper helper, that's right. Clint, Joanne's husband, has been working for us a couple years, and he's been mowing the yards and delivering honey and stuff, and he has found that he's extremely interested in beekeeping, so we're going to show him all about it.
I'm about as green as a 64-year-old could be.
Green, yeah, he's 64 years old and wants to start a new job here, so we're going to draft him. We're going to use that so he can help us this fall clean up. We're here at the Walmart yard with the very last task of the season. We're stripping the buckets off and taking our extended release oxalic acid pads out and just kind of battening down the hatches for the winter. This will be the last time we open up these beehives until probably February or something like that. I know some of these buckets still have just a little bit of syrup left in them. Hopefully most of them are empty. But I want to take them off anyway. It's Halloween today. It's October 31st. And the reason I want these buckets off now is because I don't want any more stimulation with these colonies. Some of them are still laying just a few eggs, not many, you know, the size of a baseball or something like that. And I want it to stop. We want to do oxalic acid in late November, early December, and I don't want any brood present, so that's the main reason for taking all the sugar syrup off now, even if there's a little left. And again, there won't be much, but we've been feeding thicker syrup, 1.5 parts sugar to 1 part water, and that is not as stimulating as thinner syrup, but it still has a little bit of an effect. So buckets come off, the rims will go on for the winter. I'm going to leave those rims on for any type of work we want to do in the spring. Might give them sugar cakes later in February or something like that. The bricks will go on the lids, but the temperatures are still warm enough for the bees to stick these lids together, so that's a good thing. And that's another reason for not opening them up during the winters, because once the weather gets good and cold, once you break the equipment apart, it really doesn't glue back together very well, and the lids can come off in the winter in a strong wind. So this is a decent yard of bees. They're in good shape. These are Caucasian bees for the most part. Selena, I'm not sure there's a colony in this yard that's not Caucasian. Do you know?
These are all Caucasian.
All Caucasians, yeah. And last time we were here, they're in good shape, good clusters. Not huge like an Italian colony would be, but big enough for our purposes. So Clint, you can just start taking buckets off,
Okay.
and they're all going to get stacked in those cages.
If they still got stuff in them, it's okay?
Yeah, if there's still stuff in them, take them anyway. We want to be done. Yeah, they're still using it. It's almost a shame to take it off if there's a little left, but again, I want to stop this stimulation. I want the brood rearing to stop, and hopefully most of them are empty. It's got a little in it. So the strips are coming out. Yeah, those are dark bees. Yeah, just for the fun of it. So the inside feeders are empty. I can see that. That's a good thing. Just for the fun of it, just on this colony of load, let's look at what's in the top box too. Yeah, there's plenty of bees in there for the winter. And that box is heavy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now they're back to these strips. I've heard a few people tell me, mostly northern beekeepers, that they think the strips in the winter are a problem. And we've had these strips in since early September, so there's no reason not to take them out now. I honestly don't know if they're a problem in the winter. I've not ever used them in the fall until this year, honestly. Got a comment from Ian Stepler. He said that some guys that had them on in Canada through the winter lost their colonies. I don't know if it's because of the pads or whether it was a coincidence, but I'm going to err on the side of caution here. And anyway, they're spent anyway. They've been in there for a while. It's time to take them out anyway. If I had to guess, I would say if they are a problem, it would be in these places where the bees would have to cluster around them like a double deep. In a single where they're up on top, and the bees aren't necessarily clustering around them, they'd probably be less apt to be a problem. If they are a problem, I don't know that for a fact. I'm just listening to others say they think they are, and we're going to be doing vaporization in about a month, so we don't really need these in anymore anyway. That heavy, John?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these colonies will all be very heavy.
We got some bees up top.
Got some bees up top, even in that heavy box. Okay. All dark, mostly dark bees. So these are our queens, our Caucasian queens. I'd like to know the answer to that, whether those strips actually are a problem in the winter for other people. I don't need to leave them in for the winter, but I know some people do. I get comments from a guy in New Zealand on some of the videos. He says he leaves them in all winter, but I don't know whether he's running double deeps or singles. I don't know what he's doing. Whoever you are, if you're listening to this, I'd like to know your experiences about leaving these things in all winter. Have you opened up the center yet?
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking, I wasn't watching. Let's see. Yeah, these are decent colonies. And again, of course, if they were Italian bees, they'd have much larger clusters going into winter. But for our purposes, that's plenty of bees. They'll be building swarm cells right on time with the rest.
Right.
That's the way it works, yeah. We're not going to do it now. Sometime next year. These are going to remain double deeps. People think I'm a single-story colony beekeeper, and we are at times, but in general, I actually prefer double deeps, and I do need to get around to talking about that. This winter I'll do a video on that subject. But the feeders are going to go in the top box in the spring. Right now we're just going to leave them where they are and not get too invasive. Is that box good and heavy?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, good heavy
I
colonies,
just lost
yeah.
the strip down there, so I'm gonna get it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It slid down the side.
We will be putting strips back in probably in April or May for the summer. Every colony gets a brick. We brought a pallet of bricks with us. Clint says he's no longer afraid of being stung.
Nope.
So that's the big hurdle to get over. Once you're not afraid of being stung, you can actually get some work done.
Well, I've spent 2 summers weed eating the yards, and if you're going to get it, that's when you're going to get it.
Yeah, they don't like the weed eater, yeah. And you actually do a good job. You're not afraid to get right in there and weed eat the entrances. Martin, he didn't quite like to do that very much.
I think he didn't want to kill the bee. He was afraid he was killing
Yeah,
the bees.
he was very sensitive to that.
Yeah, you couldn't get him to kill a queen. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, say, Martin, kill that queen. He wouldn't do it. So I'm standing here without a veil. That's the reason we like Caucasian bees. They are not mean. So I have no veil on doing this filming. And it's not a nice day. It was drizzling a few minutes ago. Very overcast. Nice working weather. It's real cool, but normally not ideal beekeeping weather.
I got Jordan.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pallets here with a couple of dead spots. So we got 41 40 colonies here. As I'm evolving into the future, our yards are getting a little smaller. This used to always be a 64 colony yard. We're kind of shooting for 32 to 40 these days. Now that we don't have as many bee colonies, rather than having less yards, we're going to have less colonies in a yard. I've talked a little bit about this. I think that the bees do better when there's less colonies in a yard. Somebody recently asked me, what's the right size bee yard? What's the best yard? What's the best size yard for the bees? And my answer was 1. And you're looking from the bees' point of view, 1 colony in a yard is the perfect number. When it comes to, my question is, where is the point of diminishing returns when it comes to the expense of labor and travel, I guess I should say, and just how efficient things are. And I think for us, because we're no longer traveling distances very much, and we're no longer moving bees very far, maybe 5 or 10 miles at the most, I think the smaller yards works. Now if I was still traveling all the time, I probably still have those 64 colony yards because that's so much more efficient for traveling. But now that we're not traveling, I think the 32s and 40s are going to be the ticket for us. And it's not about when there's a major honey flow on, because when you got a good flow it doesn't seem to matter. It's when the pickings are slim that it matters. That's the time you don't want too many bees in a yard. Been stung yet, John?
No, I haven't.
No stings, okay.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, we can tell the difference from yard to yard what kind of bees are in there. If it's straight up Caucasians, we get very few stings. If it's got some mixtures, some other stuff mixed in, then that's when we start getting a few stings. None of our bees are vicious. We don't have any mean bees at the moment. If we run across a mean colony, we mark it and then we requeen it as soon as we can. I think the temperature is probably about 60 degrees right now, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So the bees, of course, have completely broken cluster. And those inside feeders are all empty. Let's take a close-up of the bees. You can see how it's mostly Caucasian with a little bit of Italian. Of course, these queens are open-mated, and although we surround this yard with Caucasians, there are a couple smaller beekeepers in the neighborhood, and that's where that yellow would come from. Well, this one's got a little bit more yellow, but still,
There's a lot of bees.
it's kind of a mixture, yeah. What do you think, John? Clint going to be a good help?
Oh yeah, I think it'll be fun for sure. It'll be fun.
It'd be fun, yeah. John's always looking for somebody to have fun with.
I'm not the one that's paying the employees.
No, Clint's good help. He always, whatever you ask him to do, he just jumps on it. And he's got to be easy to get along with if he's married to Joanne, right?
Right. Right. He's not sensitive. That's for sure.
So I'll have to make sure Joanne and Clint watch this video when it goes up. She'll laugh, she'll laugh. So my wife Suzette was saying, you're never in any of the videos anymore. It's because I'm running the camera. She says, people don't know that you do any work. And I said, yeah, I'll eventually put the camera down and get some work done.
We know you do work.
Yeah, these guys know I work.
Right.
That box right there is made out of yellow pine. I put a bunch of boxes together out of yellow pine because it was cheap, but it's not the best wood to use.
But how long ago was that?
Well, that's probably let me think about this. That's about that's a 8-year box. That box is 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not rotten yet, but many of them are rotten. We're slowly going away. Now the box, that upper box, that's one of my old boxes. That's a box that I built and dipped out of white pine. that box probably nearly 20 years old right there. Yeah, those handles, that's the way I used to make my handles. Okay, I guess it's time to put the camera down. You can see the racetrack gas station down there in the distance now. That's going to be open in a month probably.